Hello everybody, John Schwell back here again with another video, and today I bring you another top 5. Yes, it's that time of the week again, and today I give you my top 5 DC female superhero characters list. Now, of course, I've done this before. I did a whole, do around when it comes to the DC characters. And of course, if you've not seen it, go down to my playlist of my John Schwell's top 5 lists, and of course, you'll inevitably find my obviously top 5 DC heroes list. But of course, today I'll be giving you my top 5 female characters list, which is long overdue. It's a list that I've been trying to do for a while. And of course, next time I'll give you my top 5 Marvel female characters list. But that being said, we're going to start off with the DC. I don't know, I'm a big believer in the chronological side of naming things, so that's why I'm going with DC first. But of course, I will be doing Marvel next. But that being said, for this specific list, I will only be choosing superhero characters from the DCU that are, of course, heroes, not anti-heroes or villains. Just straight up female superheroes. A lot of that has to deal with the fact that a lot of characters in DCU, which are specifically females that I personally really love, are normally villains and normally anti-heroes. Majority of them come from the Batman universe, so it's hard to say which one I would pick or choose. Maybe one of these days I'll segue into like a separate top 5 that's like a spin-off from these top 5s, which is my top 5 Batman female villains. But then again, it kind of goes into my whole Batman v Superman top 5 segue, which I don't know how that's going to work. Maybe I'll get into that later in the year, but we'll see what happens. But that being said, let's get right down to this top 5 list of my favorite and best DC female superheroes. Of course, coming up at number 5 has to go to a tie. Now, I know, I hate it more than anyone when it comes to ties within these top 5 lists. I personally think it's an abomination. But at the end of the day, it's like pick and choosing your fucking kids. I can't fucking pick and choose what character I like more than the other. I mean, for certain characters, I could do that very easily, but for these female characters, it's so difficult. But at the end of the day, I had to put them up against each other and have a tie against the two, which is, of course, on my top, number 5 spot goes to Raven from the Teen Titans universe, and of course, Satana from the Supernatural universe of the DCU. Now, of course, Raven is a badass character from the Teen Titans, and also one of my favorite characters, other than Robin himself. Hands down, my favorite character from the Teen Titans. Hands down, has the most interesting, most powerful superpowers and abilities. And of course, she has the best story arc. She has the most interesting story arc amongst other characters. I mean, of course, there's other characters that are fully amazing with their own stories. You know, you have Starfire and Beast Boy and, Cyborg, and, Robin's always cool. But at the end of the day, when there's a character on that list of Teen Titans characters that takes the cake, it has to go to Raven. It just does. It just has to go down straight up to Raven. But that being said, on to Satana. Satana's just a badass all around. I mean, like, you can't do a top 5 list. It's injustice to the character, no pun intended, to not put Satana on the list of top female characters within the DCU. It's just hard to do. At the end of the day, Satana makes magicians hot. She made magicians sexy. I don't know how that's fully possible, because magicians aren't anything but hot and sexy. It doesn't come together. When you think of magicians at the top of your head, what is the word that comes to mind? It is not sexy, it is not hot, but Satana did this. She did that. I don't know how she did it, but she did that. And of course, she's magical. She has magical powers. That's just really badass. That being said, going to number 4 on my list has to go to Black Canary. Black Canary, all around, is a super powerful badass character. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to Black Canary, she's a legacy character, but all around, I just love, in general, the persona of the Canary herself. So it doesn't really matter as to which specific version of the Black Canary I'm specifically putting out. But at the end of the day, I guess in the end, Black Canary, in general, as a superheroine, is just badass all around. She's just an incredible, interesting character. She's an adventurous crime fighter. She kicks ass, and at the end of the day, The interesting thing is that also comes to mind with Black Canary and multiple characters within DCU, not only in the DCU, but of course in the Marvel Universe, is that it's hard to justify certain characters because of the way they look, which comes into place the terrible costumes that certain female characters wear. Satana and Black Canary have the same problem where they don't have pants. They're basically wearing a jumpsuit that just stretches out just their incredible legs and I guess buttocks area. And that's just the general, identification of both characters. They just wear fishnets from the waist down. That's kind of the general, identity of both characters, which I guess doesn't empower any kind of female character. I don't know. But at the end of the day, the Black Canary is an incredible female superhero. She has an incredible superpower. Her sonic wave power is amazing power. She's part of the Justice League, which is not an easy thing to do, mind you. And she's obviously married to Green Arrow, the Emerald Archer himself, and also she was one of the main reasons as to why I even got into the Arrow show, which was season 2, which was not the original Black Canary. It was the spin-off version. But at the end of the day, I think that was better, and also I like it more. I don't know. I just like Katie Lotz a little bit more. Her portrayal of Black Canary, Sarah Lance, was just awesome, and one of the 3 main reasons as to why I got into Arrow. So I have to give it up to Black Canary. That being said, moving off of that, going to number 3 on my list, has also right before I get on that number 3 spot, I also really enjoy her New 52 version. So for those of you who are like, oh, female DC superheroes, super costumes are demeaning towards women, the New 52 version, they really redesigned it and did a better job at making her a little bit more empowered. So definitely check out the New 52 version of the Black Canary. That being said, going to number 3 on my list has to go to Batgirl. As you all know, I'm a humongous fan of the Batman mythos. Dark Knight himself is my favorite character within the DC, universe, and in general, when it comes to superpowers characters in general, with the exception of Dragon Ball Z characters. But that being said, Batgirl has to be on this list. She's a humongous component within the Batman mythos, and she's just a badass character in general. You already know I'm a humongous fan of Batgirl. I love the character. I think Barbara Gordon fully adds to the Batman mythos in a way that not Robin couldn't have done. Robin, in general, did a lot for the Batman mythos, and in general, he could have destroyed it at the same time. He did a lot of, as much as good that Robin added to the Batman mythos, he also destroyed. Batgirl did the complete 180, where it's like, okay, he has a superhero sidekick, but at the same time, it's not a teenage little boy with booty shorts. It's a fucking girl with a mask, with a legitimate mask, and a legitimate costume that's not overly revealing. So that makes a lot more sense. And of course, Barbara Gordon, the incredible thing with her in general is the fact that minus all the adversity she had to go through, minus all the devastating tragedy she had to go through, she still stuck in and became a superhero character. She still continued to be a mainstay within the DC universe. She still became a staple within the DC universe. And for those of you who don't know, spoilers, in The Killing Joke, she was basically paralyzed from the waist down. Joker mortally wounded her for life, and until the New 52, if I'm not mistaken, for the majority of her comic book run, she became the Oracle. She was a paraplegic. She was paralyzed, and she was wheelchair bound for the majority of her future comic book run, up until the New 52. And she continued to be a staple within the DCU. She continued to help out Batman. She continued to help out all superheroes within the DCU. And also she went on to form Birds of Prey, which is another amazing staple within the DCU, which is all about female superheroes, which is what the purpose of this top 5 is all about, supporting female superheroes. So, for that being said, putting Barbara in this list is fully justified in a lot of ways, where she added a lot to the Batman mythos. She continued to be a crime fighter even through her paralyzing feat with the Killing Joke, and of course she went on to form the Birds of Prey. So that's just all around, she's just a badass character. That being said, going into my number two on my list has to go to another tie. I know it sickens me as much as anybody that I have two ties on one list. That's really, especially really odd for me, seeing as how at the end of the day, I don't really do a lot of ties on my list, and it's only like once in a blue moon when I have one tie in a specific list. But two ties, that really comes out of the norm. But I think it's fully justified within my top two spot in this list, seeing as how the character that I've chosen is essentially the same person. The two characters I have, of course, are Supergirl and Power Girl. Supergirl and Power Girl are essentially the same characters. They're superpowered Kryptonians. They're both the cousins of Superman. They're both amazing, badass, super female characters. And they're awesome. The only major difference between the two is that one, Supergirl wears a skirt, and two, Power Girl has gigantic boobs. That's the only real major difference between the two. Other than that, there's no real major difference. They're both the same character. They're just parallel multi-universe versions of the one person, Kara Zor-El. That's the only real major difference. But essentially, they're the same character. Power Girl is a superpowered Kryptonian female who's the cousin of Superman. Supergirl, superpowered Kryptonian female who's the cousin of Superman. Essentially the same thing. The only real major difference is that Supergirl wears a skirt, Power Girl has gigantic boobs. That's the only real major difference between the two. But at the end of the day, I just love both characters. They're so badass and awesome. They're both incredible female superpowered characters. And when you have a character like Superman who fully dominates the DCU, it's hard to overshadow him. But when you have characters like Supergirl and Power Girl who have all the powers of Superman and possibly even stronger than him and could stand alone without his help, that just says a lot with the fact that you have this super overpowered character, and then you have these other two characters that are in the same universe that can do basically the same thing, but doing their own thing. There's a lot of appreciation that has to go within that, where they have their full-on, their own incredible storylines, they have their incredible story arcs that have nothing majority to do with Superman in majority, in general. So, I don't know, I have to just give it up to Supergirl and Power Girl. They've always been a couple of my faves within the DCU, and I just can't pick and choose between the two. They're both the same characters, so it's hard to choose the same thing. So I think it's a little bit more, it's easier to take in comparison to my Raven Satana thing, especially seeing as how they're the same person, essentially. But that being said, before I get to my number one pick, let's put out some honorable mentions that did not get in this list, that almost got on the list. Let's start off with this honorable mentions. Vixen almost got on the list. Hawkgirl, another incredible character that almost got on the list. Mira from the Aquaman universe almost got on the list. Starfire, another amazing character. Batwoman, Huntress, Bumblebee, another incredible character that almost got on the list. Katana, another awesome badass character. Let's see, other characters that I almost chose. I think that's pretty much it. Those are the only real characters that really stick with me when it comes to when I think of DC. Those are kind of the characters that I think right off the bat. But that being said, they're all freaking awesome, badass characters. Let's move off of that and go to my number one pick, which is no surprise, has to go down to Wonder Woman. Now, Wonder Woman, of course, was, I want to say, number 3 on my list of top 5 DC superheroes. So, of course, she had to be on this list as number 1. Wonder Woman is one of the founding members of the Justice League. She's one of the most powerful characters within the DCU. She's the only female character within all the DCU that could take down both Batman and Superman single-handedly. And of course, she's just all around a badass. She doesn't really need males in her life. She doesn't really need the male influence in her life. She's an Amazonian princess. She's a goddess. She's the daughter of Zeus. She has superpowers that Marvel fucking Superman. She's an incredible staple within the DCU. And of course with all superpower characters. Kind of similar to how Superman is the first of his kind. He's the first of the superhero. Wonder Woman is the same thing when it comes to the first of the female superheroes. So, at the end of the day, you just have to give it up to Wonder Woman herself. Wonder Woman, incredible badass character. I love her to death. She's always going to be my favorite of the DC characters. I love every single iteration of the character. She just gets more badass and badass with time. And even though, once again, you come into that play of, like, she's the best of the best, but, of course, her, the costume becomes too much. It becomes a little too much. And this comes to the same thing that I've discussed with, Satana and Black Canary. And even though with other iterations, they don't really change. Even the New 52, they changed it and went back to the original. I think the best way that can be put into it when it comes to the revealing aspects of the identity of these female superheroes, the best way that I can put it to you is that go watch Justice League War. In the beginning of the film, when they introduce Wonder Woman, they have a joke in there that obviously debates the whole superhero costume that Wonder Woman wears, now revealing and amazingly revealing it could be. Watch the movie, then you understand why it's an okay thing and why it's understandable and why it kind of makes a lot of sense. So, in general, go check out Justice League War. I'm not going to spoil it. Check out Justice League War, then you'll understand the animated movie from the DC Universe. But that being said, I'm going to have to end this top 5 already right here. My top 5 female superheroes. There was a lot of ties, but they're all amazing in my book. Of course, let me know in the comments below your personal top 5 DC female superheroes. Of course, next time I'll be doing my Marvel one. But that being said, of course, in the comments, just let me know in general what is your favorite female DC heroes, superhero characters. If you want to add in some anti-heroes or you want to add in some villains, of course, do so. Maybe one of these days I'll do a villains list and, of course, an anti-hero list one of these days. But for right now, I'm going to stick to the superhero characters and then move on to the Marvel side of things. But that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you personally thought. And of course, if you're wondering, of course, I've brought back DBZ into my top 5s. If you've not seen it already, it's my 600th video. I posted it last week. It's my top 5 DBZ female villains. Of course, if you've not seen it, go check it out. It's on my channel right now. Nonetheless, comment below. Let me know what you personally thought. Of course, all my top 5s are subjective, my personal thoughts. If you did not agree, let me know in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. Hope you guys enjoyed. This has been John 12.